video 4. With all the prep work done and selecting the best varieties, it's on to planting the tomatoes. Tarrant County Master Gardener Harold Annis shares his secrets.
Timing is very important on when you plant the tomatoes. I like to plant them in early March, even though the publication would say plant after the danger of first frost, which is, some people say March 15th, some say March 22nd. Look at the 10-day forecast. If it's going to frost in the next 10 days, don't plant. If it looks like it's going to be warm, then it's okay to go ahead and plant. And also, so I'll plant no later than April 1st. If you plant, my one experience to planting in May was Mayfest in 2005, I believe. There was a big hailstorm and I lost a lot of tomatoes. And sure enough, just like the experts say, if you plant in May, you don't get any tomatoes. The tomato will not set fruit when it's 90 degrees or above at nighttime temperatures. So it just gets too hot, and you plant in May, you get pretty plants, but no tomatoes. Now we're going to plant the tomato in the garden, and obviously we're in the native soil that has been amended with compost. So the first step is, of course, dig the hole. And I like to use a sharpshooter because it gets a good depth to the hole. And I'm also going to dig the hole about 2 inches deeper than the plant needs to be planted. And I'll explain that in just a second. So there's the hole. And the first step that I do, I add a tablespoon of calcium. This happens to be dolomite, but the calcium will help you avoid the blossom end rot. Okay? And then you cover that up with an inch or two of soil before you plant the tomato. Okay? 2. This is a big beef. We'll put that right there. Now I like to cut the bottom limbs off. You can do that with a trimmer or just a knife. So I'm going to plant the tomato up to about right there. Don't press down too hard. And there's the tomato. Now we're going to plant another tomato, and this one is a smaller plant. Same way as we did the previous. So notice that I didn't pull on the plant at all, so you turn the pot upside down and push from the bottom. You're putting the plant in the middle of your fingers. Don't want to choke its little neck. Okay. So there's that one planted. And as my grandmother told me, always water. Here I have a fertilizer mixture, soluble mixture, and I'm going to water in with about a quart of that. texture is at the recommended strength that's on the package. The final step for the smaller tomato is I use a milk jug. Cut the bottom out, set it over. So now that tomato has its own personal greenhouse. You'll put the soil around it so that the wind doesn't blow it around. The milk jug does a number of things. It protects it from the wind. If it should hail, it protects it from the hail. It'll protect it from the bugs, and from the cutworms. So it does a lot of things. And you'll leave it in that jug until you see the tomato coming out the top. Okay, we'll summarize now. Remember the plant, the first one we planted was a fairly large plant. We cut the lower limbs off. We dug the hole deep. We put some calcium at the bottom of that hole, put some soil in, and then we planted the plant. If the plant's really leggy, you can lay it down when you plant it. And the way I do that is kind of at an angle, so that maybe just that much is sticking out. And then I will, at the ground level, put the pot underneath the foliage of the plant to keep that out of the soil. You don't want to get soil on the plant. Okay? I spaced the first plant about 4 feet from the edge of the garden, so I have plenty of space to work. My rototiller goes through here. The plants are planted 2.5 feet apart, and the rows are planted 5 feet, at least 5 feet apart. Because once you get the tomatoes growing, you'll want to go down the middle. In less than 5 feet, you'll be crawling down the middle, because the tomatoes will be overwhelming that little space. Make sure you have plenty of space if you have 2 rows of tomatoes. Okay? I think that summarizes the planting. You can plant in pots. You can plant in pots. I recommend a large pot, about 20 gallons. And this is the reason why. The bottom, this was from a tomato plant last year. And you'll see a lot of root structure at the bottom of the pot. So a 5-gallon pot would really require watering probably 2 times a day, and it would get root bound. So you're going to have limited production. A bigger pot will give you a longer watering time, plus a better survival and a better production. You can also use the cage around this pot. So just put the cage just like this on the pot and anchor it in with the rebar.